The Transcendent Seed of Abraham by Charles E Newbold Jr. Part 5. The 12 Tribes. Jacob had 12 sons born to him. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Judah, and Zebulun were born to Leah. Joseph and Benjamin were born to Rachel. Dan and Naphtali were born to Bilhah, Rachel's maidservant. Gad and Asher were born to Zilpah, Leah's maidservant. Genesis 35:22-26. The transcendent covenant seed began with Abraham, passed to Isaac, not Ishmael, and then to Jacob, not Esau. From there, the seed passed to the 12 sons of Israel, but a peculiar lineage is traced through Judah, of which we will later take special note. Moses and the wilderness experience. When Yahweh sealed his vow to Abraham with the blood sacrifice in Genesis 15, Abraham fell into a deep sleep, and a horror of great darkness fell upon him. Yahweh had said to Abraham, "Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Also, I will judge that nation whom they shall serve, and afterwards they shall come out with great substance." Genesis 15:13-14. This word was fulfilled after Jacob's son Joseph rose to authority in Egypt. He brought his family and his aged father to live in the land with him there. Their descendants became slaves to the Egyptians and remained in bondage for 400 years. In the appointed time, around 1520 BC, Yahweh heard the cry of his people Israel and raised up Moses to deliver them out of bondage. After miraculously crossing the Red Sea, they went into the wilderness where they wandered for 40 years. The first generation of Israelites who came out of Egypt was not able to enter into the promised land because of unbelief. Yahweh tested them in the wilderness. They experienced many miseries, due mainly to their stubbornness, rebellion, disbelief, and idolatry. Yet many good things also happened. Yahweh sustained them miraculously on daily manna. He gave them the Torah, or law, the tabernacle, and the celebration of worship through his appointed feasts. Though they had no idea what these things represented, they were given as symbols of Yahweh's promised plan of redemption in the Messiah to come. They expressed in type and shadow Yahweh's eternal plan in history. The Torah. While in the wilderness at Horeb, Moses went up and down Mount Sinai to bring back a word from Yahweh. The people gathered around the foot of that mountain on one occasion to see Yahweh. Thunder, lightning, and a thick cloud covered the mountain. The sound of a trumpet was very loud, and they all trembled. Yahweh spoke to Moses by voice. Exodus 19. It was on that mountain that Yahweh gave them the 10 Commandments. Exodus 20:1-17. He gave many other laws, statutes, and ordinances that are called the Torah. What is meant by the Torah? Torah has been translated law, specifically as it was given to Moses by Yahweh in Horeb, but it embraces more than the 10 Commandments. In Exodus 24:12, Yahweh instructed Moses to go up to him in the mountain, and he would give him 3 things: tablets of stone, and a law, or Torah, and commandments which I have written, that you may teach them. The Torah was the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. Deuteronomy 33:4. By the time of Joshua, the Torah was referred to as a book. Joshua 1:8. Joshua built an altar to Yahweh, the God of Israel, in Mount Ebal, gathered the people, and read all the words of the Torah, the blessings and curses, according to all that is written in the book of the Torah. Joshua 8:34. More than the 10 Commandments are included here. Torah, however, does not mean law, as that term is understood in Western languages. It's not about posting a list of rules that are laid down for us to do so that we might be right with Yahweh. It includes laws and regulations, but is much more than that. It includes all that is in the first 5 books of the Old Covenant. The Torah conveys Yahweh's passionate revelation of himself, of his creation and his created ones, of his calling forth and setting apart a people for himself, of his righteous requirements for their worship and behaviour, and of his provision for their salvation. Moreover, the Torah is the recorded saga of Yahweh's word as it is dynamically and vividly expressed through his people, Israel. We cannot separate the Torah from Yahweh. The one defines the other. We would not know Yahweh were it not for the Torah, and there would be no Torah were it not for Yahweh. The one reveals the other. The Torah is one continuous story that tells how Yahweh created a people, then called a people out of this created people to be a people unto himself. These 5 books of the Torah can reasonably be divided into 7 time periods. How Yahweh dealt with mankind from creation to Abraham, Genesis 1-11. How Yahweh set apart a covenant people for himself through Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, Genesis 12-36. How Yahweh tried this people in the furnace of affliction in Egypt through Joseph and his brothers, Genesis 37-50. How Yahweh led this people from Egypt into the wilderness to prepare them for the promised land, Exodus 1-18. How Yahweh entered into covenant with this people through Moses in Sinai, setting forth his righteous requirement for them, Exodus 19 to Numbers 10:10. How this people wandered in the wilderness in rebellion against Yahweh, Numbers 10:11 to 36:13. It closes with Moses' farewell address, which retells the story in the wilderness, Deuteronomy 1:34. The Torah as a volume of work ends in the wilderness. It is fundamental to all else that unfolds in the Old and New Testaments, but it is far from the end of the story or of Yahweh's revelation of himself. The rest of the story was and is yet to be told. Righteous requirements for Yahweh's people. Exodus 24:7 tells us that all the words Moses wrote were referred to as the Book of the Covenant. If the Torah is the Book of the Covenant, and the covenant consists of the first 5 books of the Old Covenant, then both the covenants with Abraham and Moses are included in it. This raises interesting questions. Are these 2 separate covenants? Essentially, these 2 covenants are 2 parts of one. The covenant made with Abraham formed a people for Yahweh. The covenant made with Moses set forth the righteous requirement of this people. The latter did not replace the former. Yahweh knew the people would not be able to keep his righteous requirement, so he made provision for their sins through the blood sacrifices of animals. No one was ever saved by these sacrifices. These sacrifices were pictures of the blood atonement of the Lamb of God, who would be made known in the world at a set time in history in the person of Yeshua, the Messiah. The difference between these 2 covenants is this. The covenant with Abraham was a covenant of promise based on faith. The covenant with Moses was a covenant of law based on works, his righteous requirement of his people. In the New Covenant days, reference to the Torah appeared to be confined to the commandments, ordinances and statutes that were given to Moses. Much of Yeshua and Paul's controversy with the Pharisees was over the Mosaic law and how they had turned it into a matter of works righteousness. That is, one's righteousness was achieved through works of the law. Paul posed the question with the Galatians that if obedience to the law does not make us righteous, why then was it given? He answered, "It was added because of transgressions, until the seed should come to whom the promise was made." Galatians 3:19. It was added. Added to what? Added to the covenant made with Abraham, because they were not able to join Abraham in simple faith. What an astounding thought! Had the children of Israel simply believed in Yahweh and in his mighty hand to deliver them, provide for them, heal them, protect them, and establish them as his royal priesthood and holy nation, there would have been no need for the law. The Torah was given because of their transgression, and their transgression was unbelief. Had they believed as they ought, they would not have gone after other gods. They were under the law for 1500 years.